Ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. The main event of this season from the DeBona Dojo in Boston, Massachusetts. It's time for Unsportsmanlike Conduct. This one is for all the marbles. It's the final episode which will determine who reigns supreme and who is walking away with the trophy. Whoever does that will be the competitor who is the last player standing, because right before the commercial breaks, the player in last place will be eliminated. The scores will be cleared after every round, which means one bad phase of competition will send a competitor packing. In each round, the best debater in each question will earn the maximum of 4 points. The runner-up will earn 2. In the quarterfinals, third place will grab a single point, but last place in any question will never earn any points. If scores are level after a round, tie-breaking questions can be asked to decide who moves forward. Let's meet the competitors. Fighting out of New York, New York, the undefeated #1 seed, Olin Hollywood Hayes. Fighting out of Stoneham, Massachusetts, the #2 seed, Will the Thrill Connell.
Great to be here.
Fighting out of Farmington, Connecticut, the #4 seed, Katie Mighty Mouse Ree. And fighting out of Westchester, New York, the #3 seed, Brian No Lion Denuff. Competitors, put up the best fight you can today, because a bad round could send you home earlier than you would have liked. Give it absolutely everything, crank that intensity up, and have no regrets. You've earned the right to be here, but now it's up to you to prove why you deserve to stay here. Let's get right into it. The quarterfinals, round 1. Should the Penn State Nittany Lions be in the college football playoff after winning the Big Ten championship? Olin, as the #1 seed, you've earned the right to kick things off.
Thank you, John. The problem with Penn State being in the college football playoff is that someone who's already in would have to be out. So if you look at the 4 teams who are there, Alabama, no question, they're in. So then you compare them to Clemson. Clemson has 1 loss. It's a bad loss to Pittsburgh, but Penn State has the exact same loss to Pittsburgh and also a 49-10 loss to Michigan, which is very, very embarrassing if you look at the score. Washington, another 1-loss team, a slightly weaker schedule overall, but their only loss was USC, who's almost as good as Michigan, and it was a much closer game. They don't have a second loss to a team like Pitt. So Washington still has the clear advantage over Penn State. The only case you can make is Ohio State, because Penn State beat them head-to-head. But Ohio State did better overall with a similar out-of-conference schedule and the same conference schedule, because they're in the same conference. Ohio State, a better record overall. That puts them ahead of Penn State because of how similar the records were and the conferences were.
Katie Ree.
Okay, so I have to agree with Olin. I said that the committee got it right. I think that Penn State, it must suck for them to know that they won the Big Ten championship and they still didn't make it into the finals. So I think that the teams that they were playing towards the middle of the bottom of the standings in their conferences, like Minnesota and Maryland and Michigan State. So they played really well against a lot of okay teams. And so I don't think that's enough to remove one of the other teams, like Olin said.
Brian Denuff.
Well, look, I would agree with you. I do think that Penn State is the 5th best team out of these 5 teams. I will say, though, I do think it's a disgrace that an 11-2 team can't make it into the college football playoff. They had a chance to improve the tournament system, and they really didn't. If anything, they made it worse, in my opinion. You can't have just the playoffs in every other sport is a crapshoot. Anyone can get in, anyone can win. The Lions had a terrific season, and they're going to have nothing to show for it besides that Big Ten trophy. They should have still been playing in one of the bigger games.
Welcome.
Yes, sorry, Penn State, but the 4 best teams got into the college football playoffs. Now, Ohio State, similar to what Olin said, the only argument that really could be made would be for Ohio State. And you look at it, they rank #2 in most statistical rankings and ESPN's football index. 12 out of the 12 teams, none of them had 2 losses, similar to like the Lions. Also, even though Penn State, they won a tough conferences, 2 unbalanced. Scheduling plays a huge, major role, as it does every year. And quite frankly, 4 teams just fared better.
Is there anyone else that should have been in the playoff, or where could Penn State possibly been? Because everyone is in agreement that they don't deserve to be in.
Penn State should have beaten Pitt if they wanted to get into the playoffs. And Clemson lost to Pitt. Clemson had the same loss, but they dominated the rest of their schedule. You can't overlook that. Penn State had a bad loss, and then an even worse loss. They lost by 39 points to Michigan, who's another team that was right on the borderline. Yeah, you can argue Michigan being even better than Penn State, but they're about even.
That's what I was
overall
going to
on
say.
record.
The argument should be made for Michigan, even though Penn State.
And then you can't argue Michigan because they didn't win the conference championship, and you can't argue Penn State because they lost by 39 to a team who's not even in the playoff.
Yeah.
And Ohio State had it had 3 wins over the top 10 teams. Penn State only had 2. It was it's unbalanced.
I also think though that it's very unfair that we have to really pick apart the flaws in an 11-2 team. It's just it's an awful system. I'm really not a fan of it.
I mean, it's certainly an improvement.
Yeah, I guess it's an improvement, but it's just at the end of the day. I mean, we're picking apart what is still a fantastic team.
Yeah,
it's still fantastic. It's a great team.
State fan. We used to analyze the 14-0 teams and just analyze why they're third.
Right.
Like
It's unbelievable.
if you give it to Penn State to be in the final, then you'd have to open it up to another. Like you have to open up.
You have to open it up to 8 teams, and I think that's true.
That's
But, I mean,
obviously
It's unrealistic in some ways.
It should be the future, absolutely.
I don't know. It's unrealistic in a lot of ways.
That's halftime in this session on college athletics, and the scores at the interval. 4 points to Olin Hayes, 2 to O'Connell, 1 to Bryant Enough, and none to Katie Ree. But over to round 2. Who is your early season pick to cut down the nets in Phoenix and win this year's college basketball national championship? Will Connell, you're the 2 seed, and you've earned the right to tip off.
John, I got to be honest with you. It hurts me to say this, but got to go with Duke. I do not like saying that, but first off, you're instantly put in an advantage with Coach K. And the scary thing about Duke is they haven't even unlocked their full potential yet. Once Harry Giles gets on the court, ooh-wee. And that win against Florida was dominating, established. Then I'll get more into the meat of my argument, but unfortunately, it's those Blue Devils.
Olin Hayes.
Well, I mean, I think you can't overlook Villanova as the defending champions. I think it's between Villanova and Duke for the favorite right now. Duke, obviously a very solid team, as Will said, really don't have any weaknesses. They're a dominant force. Their only loss, they could have easily won that game. You see them playing well in the clutch the vast majority of the time. I think they're a team built to win in a playoff environment, in a knockout round environment. I think Villanova, though, you can't count them out. They're undefeated so far, and they were fantastic last year, went all the way, and they showed that they have the players who can compete in clutch games. Chris Jenkins is back. Nigel Williams-Goss has been fantastic. They've got multiple players shooting over 50% from three-point land, so that's another thing you can't ignore. And this is a team. Villanova's a team built to win in the postseason, and they may go undefeated for a long period of time.
Jump in there.
Okay, so I agree with you guys. My top 3 picks are Nova, Kansas, and Duke, ranked 1, 3, and 5, respectively. They have a lot. This is from the AP.
Oh, yeah.
So they have a lot of good players on offense and on defense, and they're doing a lot of good scoring. Their percentages are out of this world, in my opinion, and I couldn't pick just one.
Brian.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Will here. I'm going to go with Duke. Look, Vegas loves them. They have 450 to 1 odds. Those are the best odds in Vegas right now by a lot. As he mentioned, the freshmen. That is the key to this team. Marquise Bolden, Frank Jackson, Jason Tatum. They're already playing like seasoned seniors ready for the NBA. And as you said, Harry Giles hasn't even stepped on the court yet. And once he does, I think he's going to take off. I think the Blue Devils are only going to get better. They're 9-1. They look unbeatable. And as you said, Coach K, with that experience, with that incredible leadership, I wouldn't want to be the one who bets against them.
Not even to mention CBS preseason player of the year, Grayson Allen. I mean, he
Yes.
proves clutch.
We all picked Duke without even bringing him up.
That's all you have to know.
And then you got the veterans in Jefferson, and again, to go back to that win over
Jason
Florida.
Tatum,
Jason Tatum, you got 3 players who combined for 75 points in that win.
Oh, yeah.
To 74 that Florida scored, which is just insane. And yeah, Coach K's been through the ranks, winning another Olympic title.
Yeah, and
he obviously knows what he's doing
it
better
really
than
shows
anyone.
because
It's insane.
they've been ranked within the top 5 and the top 10 at the end of the season and consistently through the season for the past couple of years, and that's something that you can't ignore.
Yeah.
Like they have
way longer than that. Even.
and like going to the postseason, they were like really uncharacteristic. They got knocked out uncharacteristically early, and that kind of messed up my entire bracket last season.
everyone.
So,
Yeah.
The best of everyone.
So they're definitely playing with a chip on their shoulder. They want to get back there.
And
Coach
like-
K, he's
like-
not getting any younger. He wants another national championship, that's for sure.
I do
Like,
think you
not
still
even
can't
like,
ignore
oh,
Villanova, though, in relation to that, because Villanova, as a defending champion, still undefeated this year.
Yeah.
They're ranked number one for a reason.
I haven't seen a team that win back-to-back titles in so long.
Yeah,
And,
but
like,
but
they have
you
a
certainly
lot of-
wouldn't want to play them right now.
They have a
if
lot
you're
of-
Duke or if you're anyone, that's not who you want to play in an
I wouldn't want to play
elimination game.
Duke
And
if
they
I
have,
was
like,
any
a
other
lot of
team.
really
Oh, that's
good-
true,
I wouldn't
obviously, as
wanna
well.
play
They have a lot of good like returning players. Like they have Chris Jenkins and Josh Hart, who were on the team for last year. They're already averaging, or Jenkins is already averaging 13.3 points, and same thing with Josh Hart. He has 15.
I think a huge thing to mention
That's
in
gonna
Duke
do it
is
for
the
the
number one
second
offensive
round.
efficiency.
Okay.
Gotta slip that one.
And 2 tickets have already been punched to the semifinals with the 4 points in that last round. Will Connell, Owen Hayes taking 2. Each of them go through with 6. But that puts us into a tiebreaker between Brian Dunuff and Katie Reed very quickly, 20, 25 seconds each.
Okay.
Which team in the college football playoff is most likely to upset Alabama, and why? Brian, you're seated higher. You'll go first.
Well, look, I'm going to go with Clemson. I really have a lot of faith in their team. They've played tremendous all season long. I don't think Alabama ultimately will win the national championship. I do think it'll be Clemson. And
Why?
They just have a tremendous defense that can really shut down Alabama's offense. And I think this is going to stop them. And I don't have a lot of faith in Alabama.
Katie Reed.
Okay, so I know that you said Clemson, but I really think that it's going to be the Ohio State. They went 11-1.
pick.
They have almost steamrolled every team that they played except for their uncharacteristic loss to Penn State. They have JT Barrett, and they have Malik Hooker and KJ Hill, and they have a lot of good on defense because Malik Hooker has 38 solo tackles and 67 overall, and that's a lot. You can't ignore that. And then KJ Hill has an average of 14.9 yards and 250.
That's going to do it. And the tiebreaker in a very close decision is going to Katie Reed. And unfortunately, that means Brian Dunuff is eliminated. His season comes to an end in 4th place. But when we come back, the 3 remaining contestants will fight it out to grab a spot in the championship round. It's going to be a thrilling contest, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, Emersonians. I'm Peyton Lewis, the host of the Evie-nominated and Evie-losing show, Common Agenda. Last season, we may have had a midlife crisis, but this summer we really found ourselves. After some deep soul-searching and some long nights mourning our defeat, we're back here for another season of the saltiest content and shenanigans on the Emerson channel. This season, we'll dive deep into Emerson's favorite subcultures: film bros, hipsters, and other white boys with brown hair. Turn us on Monday evenings at 8:30 on the Emerson channel.
Welcome back to the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Playoffs. It's time for the semifinals of this competition, and keep in mind the previous scores have been cleared, which means anything can happen. Straight in to the first round of the semifinals. Tom Brady now has 201 career wins, making him the winningest NFL quarterback in history. But is he the greatest quarterback in NFL history? The highest seed remaining gets to kick things off, and that's you, Olin.
Tom Brady is definitely the greatest quarterback of all time. You can look at individual stats for the regular season and compare Peyton Manning. You can look at the postseason and compare all kinds of people. But really, if you look at total performance between regular and postseason, it's just between Brady and Joe Montana. And Brady has much better regular season stats, hundreds more touchdown passes, and not a whole lot more interceptions. Better completion percentage, better stats all around. And Joe Montana has better stats in the Super Bowl specifically with 11 touchdowns, no picks, and 4 wins. But Brady also has 4 Super Bowl wins, and he's gotten to 6 Super Bowls.
Katie Reed.
I have to agree and also disagree. I think that there are a number of good quarterbacks that could obviously rival Brady, like Young and Unitas and definitely Joe Montana. And I just think that they would easily give him a run for their money, besides the fact that Brady is the most winningest quarterback.
Wilco.
Look, as a true New Englander, I say with no bias that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. And look, put his 16 seasons aside and look at the man now. missing 4 games for that Deflategate silliness. The man has almost 2,500 yards, 19 touchdowns, 1 pick. That instantly injects him into the MVP conversation of this year, not to mention his career trajectory as a whole. The man has appeared in more playoff games than any player at any position, not just quarterbacks. As far as Super Bowls go, he has the most Super Bowl appearances. I think when you break down a quarterback and his coach and his team, no other player has been consistent as Tom Brady. Many greats have gone through the ranks, different teams, different coaches. Tom Brady is true. He is the GOAT.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think
If you're talking about Johnny Unitas, I mean, he played more seasons, or Unitas, either way. I mean, whatever. But yeah, Johnny Unitas played more seasons and had fewer Pro Bowl appearances, fewer championships, fewer division championships, fewer league championships, even in playing in an era with significantly fewer teams. Brady has been absolutely dominant in this whole era with a lot of great quarterbacks. He has emerged as the greatest in a generation full of amazing quarterbacks.
Yeah,
Rodgers, Breeze, in addition to Manning.
11 Pro Bowl. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Mannings, exactly. If you
Like,
look at a
the
lot of
Mannings are
statistics,
amazing.
if you
Breeze
look
is
at a lot of
amazing.
statistical things, Eli and Peyton rank completion percentage, completions made.
Well, not Eli anymore.
But yeah,
But
but
in the
there's
playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
In the playoffs, Flacco, Roethlisberger, Manning, Eli,
unreal,
but you can't
Brady
compare
is-
them because Brady's just been so consistent through so many facets of the game.
And
He can
like-
do everything, and he's the best QB sneak QB of all time.
Oh, also with Tom Brady, like I
man.
have to agree with you guys. He has had a changing team. He's had a lot of different players go through the lines, and he's had to pick different receivers, but they've all
And he's
fit
made them
to
all
him.
look the same. I don't know how he's
Yeah.
done it.
He's made them
Because
all
they're not the
look
same.
really
Edelman
good.
looks nothing like Welker, but he makes them look like the same receiver, and they're just as effective.
Yeah.
And let's just talk about the underdog story. Man drafted
Sixth
sixth
round pick.
Oh my God, yeah.
from Michigan,
He
man.
never
I mean,
played in Michigan until his
back up.
senior
And
year.
the other thing is, I think it should be noted when we're
And one of
talking
the
about
worst 40-yard dashes I've ever
We're
seen.
talking about the greatest of
Combine.
all time. When we're talking greatest of all time, you got to look at the consistency. Brett Favre has had some down years. Aaron Rodgers currently having a down season.
Oh, God,
Those who
yeah.
I would throw into my, goats as
Yeah.
far as the last
That's why I really
20,
want to think
20
Montana
years.
compares.
But
And Brady has
Tom-
the slight statistical advantage.
Real quick, GOAT, yes or no?
Yes, Tom Brady.
Yes.
Of course.
It's unanimous halfway through the semifinals. Here's where we stand. Owen Hayes with 4 points, Will Conn with 2, Katie Reed with 0, but over to round 2. To baseball, with Travis Shaw traded, third base is now open for the Boston Red Sox. Will Pablo Sandoval be able to bounce back and claim that spot? Olin, you won the last round. You get to start things off, and you'll be batting first.
Are we really going to trust Pablo Sandoval after what's happened the last couple of years?
You
2
tell
years
me.
ago, Pablo Sandoval came to the Red Sox with high expectations as a playoff cult hero in San Francisco. Even though he's had some down regular seasons, he'd been great in the playoffs. He gained all the weight back that he had already lost multiple times. This is a story that's happened a couple of times now. And he had a negative WAR. He had almost a -1 wins above replacement. The Red Sox would have won one more game 2 years ago if they had replaced Pablo Sandoval with your average AAA third baseman. That's pathetic. You can't trust this guy. He was 0 for 6 last year, didn't play. He's coming off of an
Katie
injury. We
Reed.
have no idea what
Okay,
to expect.
So I have to agree with Olin, is that he came from a team that he had a 6.1 WAR over replacement, wins over replacement in 2011, sorry. And he has really, honest to God, not contributed to this team. He's made a ton of errors, and that's common, but he made a ton of errors over the past years. He's had really an okay slugging percentage, and he's an okay hitter. He's an okay player on a team of really good players that
Will
need
Conn,
him
do
to
you
be
agree?
better.
Look, we're not talking about has Pablo Sandoval worked for the Boston Red Sox. We are asking if Pablo Sandoval has the ability to bounce back.
No.
I saw a picture recently of a very slimmed down, trim Pablo Sandoval. I want to throw out a couple things. Pablo Sandoval recently moved to Fort Myers to be closer to the Red Sox training facility. Principal owner Dave Dabrowski said he has a lot of confidence in Pablo Sandoval. And just looking at it from a complete clubhouse perspective, trading Travis Shaw, they're doubling down on Pablo Sandoval. How can you say that the front office doesn't have confidence in this guy? And also, I
But
just
can't-
want
We're
to
saying they do
No,
have
we're saying
confidence, but it's not
can he
it's
do
not
it?
misplaced.
He can't do
after
it.
the surgery and after this weight loss, he himself said that he is revitalized and re-energized to win again,
But
and
can
he
he?
realized
But
he has
can
become
he?
complacent. Well,
But why should we trust him
saw
on
that,
that?
yeah,
well,
but the
listen,
thing is,
I
like,
think bust is what it's heading to. I think this season is going to be determinant because he only played in 6 games last season.
He had 6 at bats. He didn't play
Yeah,
at all.
Six at bats, okay,
yeah.
right?
No, we're
So-
talking about 2 seasons ago.
no, we're not, yeah, because we're
Specifically for you two, why can he not succeed? And for you, why will he succeed?
Well, Pablo Sandoval, we've seen this story before. He lost all of the weight multiple times before a season in San Francisco, and he gained it all back every single time. He's looked this good before and looked as bad as always by May. You look at the 2012 regular season, he didn't even have that great of a season. He just stepped up and was the greatest World Series hitter in recent history.
He had an
but you
average-
can't put that as anything more than a fluke. I mean, he's a clutch hitter, but he's not a good hitter. And a negative WAR over the last couple of seasons. He has to improve so drastically to even be relevant on this Red Sox team.
When he was traded, he went from a 3.4 wins over replacement, and it dropped to a negative point.
In an easier hitting
How
ballpark.
do you do that?
Batting average in his seasons over at the Giants are fine. And I just want to say another Red Sox who had a very disappointing season and then bounced back. Hanley Ramirez. Come on, I mean, they're not on the same.
He's a better technical player in every way.
I think it has
You
to
cannot
do with the
compare
way
that.
that this team is run. The front office has confidence in him. This
Hanley Ramirez is in amazing shape all the time.
The front office can't make him play better.
Well, they have confidence in him, and they're pushing him to
They
make
have
a comeback.
confidence in him. That's not
But yeah, that
necessarily
doesn't
a
mean he
good
can
thing.
deliver. That doesn't
They
mean
have
he can
confidence in
deliver.
David Price pitching well against the AL East. It still doesn't happen.
It's not a negative. If you have confidence in a guy who was significantly trimmed down, who had surgery, who's
But
poised for a comeback,
hold on.
what's the negative? I think putting all.
I'm not arguing with your points in general. I'm just arguing with Pablo Sandoval because we've seen this before. This exact thing has happened before and it hasn't worked.
You
Pablo
can
Sandoval,
you can put
Brock Holt,
you can
absolutely.
Oh my
Any
goodness
day.
gracious, come on.
Brock Holt?
Yeah.
He's an all-star.
Yeah.
Brock Holt is an elite player
Why are you shaking
who's
your head,
going to
Will?
be a backup right now.
Listen, Pablo Sandoval, man, I like the cult hitter. All right, I like that phrase because it's a fine phrase.
It's what he was because he had 2 great postseasons.
Yeah,
Man,
and
I
that was
don't
it.
want to call this a bust quite yet. They spent a lot of money on this guy. If
It's
they don't
not
give him
yet.
any return,
It's not yet.
it's
It is.
But
With that, Olin Hayes wins the round and clinches a spot in the championship. And in a very narrow decision, Will Connell edges Katie Reed for second place and will go through to the championship round. Sally, that means Katie Reed has just fallen short of the title round, but does claim a spot on the podium. Great season there. When we come back, everything is on the line as our 2 finalists will duel for the championship and the trophy that goes along with it. It all comes down to the final round, meaning the slightest of margins could be enough to win or lose a title. It doesn't get any better than this. Stay with us.
Guys, I cannot have any more ramen.
Yeah, this food is really disgusting.
These are herbal cough drops.
Well, they're better than nothing.
I have some fruit if you guys want.
Those are Skittles.
I'm just trying my best.
Well, maybe we can just go to the DH.
What?
Oh my god, that stuff is prison food.
Well, do you have any other ideas?
Well, I'm like starving, so like we have to do something.
Did someone say something? Hi kids, Kitchen Man here. Do you know you can tune into Emerson Channel College Kitchen for great dorm-friendly, budget-friendly recipes?
Okay, but like what if I need to go out to brunch with my girls?
Try Taste of Boston, where we profile great local restaurants in the Boston area.
What if I only want to eat competitive chef's food?
Tune in to Sliced, our brand new competitive cooking show.
I want to watch College Kitchen.
But wait!
We are College Kitchen!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Unsportsmanlike Conduct Championship. Our 2 finalists, the top 2 overall seeds, number 1 Olin Hayes and the number 2 seed Will Connell. They've both earned their right to be here, but will be tested to their maximum in the most intense round of the season. And if it can be more intense than last round, it's going to be crazy. Everything is on the line. Olin, are you ready?
always.
Will, you ready?
I'm ready.
Any last words?
Let's do this.
It's been a great season. You're a machine.
It is a winner-take-all, and it's a very simple question. Who is the NFL MVP? Olin, you are the highest scorer in the semifinals, and you're going to go first. Best of luck to both of you.
The NFL MVP is Derek Carr of the Oakland Raiders. He is an amazing quarterback. He is a 3rd-year quarterback out of Fresno State, and he's already dominating the NFL. He's got multiple fourth-quarter comebacks, 6 game-winning drives in the 4th quarter and overtime as a 3rd-year player with a decent offense, but not even that great players around him. You look around the league at the other candidates, all of the Cowboys have too many good players on their team for any one of them to be too valuable. Tom Brady missed a quarter of the season. And his numbers have not been good enough to make up for that. Matt Ryan is close, but his team is just not good enough, and he hasn't been valuable enough to a good team. Derek Carr is the favorite.
Look, I got to go back to my guy. Tom Brady's the NFL MVP, and I'll tell you why. I got to discredit the 4-game suspension. Deflategate is silliness. That is
of course it is. He still didn't play 4 games.
It's an absolute nonsense. I will say that Montana missed 3 games, still won the MVP. It's not 4, but it's still 3. That 19 TD to 1 interception ratio is outstanding. Almost 2,500 yards, and I gotta say, your boy Derek Carr looked subhuman last night against the Chiefs.
He's bad against the Chiefs. That's it.
That's fine, but he had no touchdowns. He had as many completions as Alex Smith had, and twice the attempts. What I need from an MVP is a guy who will win me a game right now. Derek Carr has looked human. Tom Brady has looked inhuman this entire way. And especially with Gronk out, if he can continue winning, which last week he did, LeGarrette Blount is slowing down. He's still moving the offense. Tom Brady is proving that after 16 seasons in the NFL, he's still killing it. And also, Derek Carr, your boy, 3 seasons in, established QBs don't get their MVP until later down the line.
It doesn't matter how long you've been in the league.
And I don't think, listen, I like
reputation,
the Raiders. I like the Raiders.
The reputation of a player doesn't matter.
Best teams earlier in the
yeah,
season.
they're a great team. We all did at the same time. It was great. But no, you can't argue necessarily because he hasn't been in the league long enough he can't win MVP. We know Tom Brady has a better reputation. Tom Brady is a better quarterback throughout his career than Derek Carr because Derek Carr's only played 3 years. That's not what the MVP is about. The MVP is the most valuable player this season. And if you look at that word valuable, I think that's the key. The Patriots were fine without Tom Brady. The Raiders without Derek Carr are a 500 team at best. They're probably a losing record team. And right now, they've got a shot at the number 1 seed, definitely a first-round bye at this point if they can keep up the way they're playing. Tom Brady has been great. There's nothing wrong with him, but he missed 4 games. Yeah, well, it's very, very difficult to win an MVP, and his stats are not that much better. Yards per game is about the same. Yards per attempt, about the same.
Rating,
yeah, his completion percentage is very slightly higher, and Derek Carr has played significantly more time this year. He came back with a dislocated finger and came back and led a game-winning drive.
But here's the thing,
done that.
Kind of undermining the argument because where does Oakland sit right now? They're competing for the wild card, correct?
Well, right now they're tied with the
them,
Chiefs.
With the Chiefs for the wild card.
Or no, they're tied for the division lead.
Yeah, yes, the division lead. So
they're on pace to win their division right now. Derek Carr has been absolutely dominant so far this year, the vast majority of the time. He's only been bad against the Chiefs, and this is throughout his career. So if you look at the rest of the season, he's going to be great moving forward. Throughout his career, he's only been bad against the Chiefs. So moving forward, he's got 3 games left. None of them are against the Chiefs, and he's going to be dominant in all of those.
Look, you're lining up every quarterback in the NFL up against a wall. You have the number 1 pick. You're choosing Tom Brady.
I'll take Tom Brady for a full season. That doesn't mean he's the most valuable this season. That's the issue. He's not the most valuable this season because he didn't play enough of the season, and he hasn't been dominant enough. He's been great. He's had a great season. There's nothing wrong. If Tom Brady had played all 16 games at this pace, he's the MVP. But he didn't, and that's
that mindset. It's like, yeah, sure, there's not enough great pieces on the Raiders, but Derek Carr's the best piece. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But like
the Patriots have a better team, and Derek Carr has kept them with a similar record.
Listen,
same record until this week.
And Jimmy Garoppolo worked fine, but it's not like they were playing like Dak Prescott or Tom Brady or Jimmy Carr. They were just keeping it moving.
But the Patriots were still winning.
Tom Brady is an integral cog to the Patriots machine.
The Patriots machine worked anyway. The Patriots machine destroyed the Texans, who are a playoff team. Not a great team, but a playoff team. And the Patriots absolutely steamrolled them.
They're in a poor conference.
Yeah.
They're
not a great team. But the Patriots had 3 amazing games and then 1 fluke where the entire team didn't play well, and that had nothing to do with Brady.
Yeah, but it's still, you look at Tom's numbers, and the MVP is a guy who has an established. I know we had this dispute when we were talking about baseball MVP.
Yeah.
Last few seconds, guys.
The MVP has to be a guy on an elite team who plays at elite level.
And that's what's going on. That's what Derek Carr is. Derek Carr has made a team elite.
Derek Carr's having a fluke season right now. The Raiders are not going to be back there for
Derek Carr has made a team elite. Tom Brady is on an elite team. He's an elite player on an elite team. Derek Carr has single-handedly made a team elite.
It is over. The season has come to an end, and the unsportsmanlike conduct champion is Olin Hayes. Undefeated throughout the entire season, and this year's champion. We're going to have a quick interview with him now. Olin Hayes, congratulations.
Thank you, John.
What was your key to success in not just winning a very close final, but going undefeated through the entire season?
I prepared as much as I possibly could for every episode and found a lot of numbers. Numbers never lie. That is a fact. Numbers never lie. And the more stats you have, the more often you're going to be right about something. You have to know every sport inside and out, and you've got to know the numbers behind it. And when there was a sport that I knew, I took advantage of it with football and baseball. When there was a basketball question, I did more research. And that's what it took.
When you're going up against great debaters like Will Connell, what's your strategy? Do you want to have a leg up early?
First of all, shout out to Will for the most intense final. That was fantastic.
That was excellent.
That was really fun. I had no idea if I was going to win that one. Usually I'm a lot more confident than that. I had no idea what was going to happen. Early on, I want to establish all of my points so that I can spend the rest of the time making counterpoints. And I want to establish all of the basic points. So, like in this, I wanted to establish Derek Carr is good, team is bad, therefore he's made the team better by himself. And that was my basic point. After that, I had to adapt. I didn't know who he was going to choose, so once I heard Brady, I had to go back and go, okay, Brady stats, and talk about why they weren't quite good enough. Even though Brady is, I definitely think he's second for MVP.
Real quick, Owen, what's going to be your favorite memory from this season and your title run?
Oh man, all of it. The MLS question was pretty funny earlier this year, but I think it's this entire final show was fantastic. Everyone on it was really great, and every round I had no idea what was going to happen. Never knew.
It's been a truly epic season, and next season we'll see if anyone can take down Olin Hayes, dethrone him, and make him take a loss for what would be the first time in his individual Unsportsmanlike kind of career. I'm John Newton. Thank you for being with us this season, and we'll see you next time.